Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Pod Save Chocolate. My name is Clay Gordon. I'm your host, and I'm your moderator. And I'm here today to talk about the chocolate that I encountered in 2024. Before I begin, I want to say that this episode of Pod Save Chocolate, like every episode of Pod Save Chocolate, is sponsored by members of the Chocolate Life. This is the homepage of the Chocolate Life right now. If you can go there, you can see that for every single episode of Pod Save Chocolate, I put together a post. But if you are not currently a member, you can go click on the join button, become a member. I don't do Patreon. I don't run ads. That your support of the Chocolate Life is what keeps Pod Save Chocolate up and running. So I do appreciate that. Like, subscribe to like the video, subscribe to the channel, add a comment, share with your friends. All of those things are greatly appreciated. And I want to just jump right into it today. So this is the post for today's episode. For every episode, I put together a post on the Chocolate Life. You can go and see the list of episodes by clicking on the Pod Save Chocolate link in the top navigation. And what you'll do is you'll find a link to every single episode that has been done. There's also an archive of all of the links for the Chocolate Life Live there. And one of the reasons why I put together these posts is that you may be listening to this as an audio podcast after the fact, or you may be listening to this in some place where you can't be watching it. And so you have an opportunity to go and review everything that I've said and with all of the links to everything that I mentioned during the course of the episode. And that's what it is. That's one of the reasons why I put this together. It also helps me organize my thoughts. Right? Because one of the reasons why I do this is to help me hear myself talk about what it is that I'm doing. It helps me understand much better. So if you have a comment or question about anything that I talk about today, you can go into the live chat on YouTube or on the comment stream in LinkedIn or Facebook and ask a question, make a comment. Would be really interested to hear, including just letting me know where in the world you're connecting from. If you're connecting from the United States, if you're connecting from Europe, don't want to, I could tell if you're connecting from YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, so you don't need to do that. But just, where in the world you're connecting from, what I can do is I can get that shout out up on screen to say thank you. And I do appreciate all of that. And with that, let's get right into it, because this is what I think people are here for. And so one of the things that I mentioned, right, as I was sitting down doing the overview for this post, is that I didn't do a whole lot of traveling in 2024. I mean, I did a lot more traveling in 2023 and 2022, and I didn't do a whole lot of traveling in 24. And so I was thinking, how many different bars, how many people are going to be able to talk about? And it turns out that it was a lot more than I thought. So that even though I didn't spend a lot of time outside, Chocolate Life headquarters town here in Prescott, Arizona, what I did do was I did have an opportunity to try a lot of chocolate, even though I didn't travel to a whole bunch of places. And so what I discovered that I'm going to talk specifically about at least 18 makers and a particular bar or something that attracted me during the course of the year. And if you could see my desk, what you'd do is you'd see this scattering, because I've kept some of the packaging. I haven't kept all of the packaging for things. If I have the packaging, I'll show it to you. But what I wanted to do is I talk about some of the bars and some of the makers that I ran across over the course of the year. And I did an informal assessment, and it turns out that I tried on average at least 3 to 4 new chocolates a week, or 3 to 4 different chocolates per week over the course of 2024, all in when you consider everything at least. And which sort of astonished me as I ran through, as I was organizing things and putting them all together just before the start of this episode. So let's go there. So the first one I want to talk about is a company called Amore de Mona. And Amore de Mona is a woman-owned business. It's someone I've known for quite some time. And I've enjoyed working with the founder, Mona Changaris, since I first met her at the big chocolate show in New York City. I want to say 2016 or 2017. Now, the thing that I want to mention that I had that really sort of impressed me or that I would take away with it, is a line of bars that she has called Caramella. And this is often made with agave nectar or something like that, which is a challenge to make a caramel with. But this is her caramella bar with cranberries. And so just a nice chew. These are alloglycemic, they're vegan, and gluten-free, all the good stuff, with, but they haven't removed any of the flavor. And there's something, because I had the plain caramella bar and this caramella with cranberries, there's something about the toothsome chew, which is associated with this. It's sweet, but it's not overly sweet. It's just, it just engages a bunch of your senses in a really, really fun way. In a little small box like this, the box is 2 ounces. There are three pieces, and so it makes a lovely, 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 portion size. Again, low glycemic and vegan and gluten-free and a bunch of other things like that. And what they do is they make their own chocolate from liquor by mixing liquor and cocoa butter with a sweetener, a liquid sweetener, either agave, maple syrup, or something else, which is real, real challenging. So really, really fun stuff. And I really like this. And if you want something which is more of a bonbon presentation, and again, you're looking for something which is vegan, well made, low glycemic, all of those things, free of most of the natural allergens that we think of. Then they also make a bonbon, which they call a sel mignardise. So it's a sea salt. A mignardise is just a little piece of puffed rice in it. So it's sort of like a ganache with an inclusion. It would be a way to think about it. And so it's got a nice chew and a nice texture to it. And so I can recommend that. So this is one of the bars that came across. I didn't have this until Thanksgiving time, even though I've been working with Mona since for a few months before then. So go take a look at it. I think everything is sold out for the year, but take a look at this. Consider adding it for you or for anyone on your chocolate fan list who is a vegan or is interested in something which is an alternative presentation to a conventional kind of chocolate or caramel or something like that. The next thing I want to talk about, the next company that I ran across was called Argent Cove. So I had met the McFadden's, quite some time ago, but I had a chance to meet them in person. They're based in Nicaragua at the Southwest Chocolate and Coffee Festival, which was last April. And that's when I realized that even though I hadn't done a lot of traveling, when I was at the Southwest Chocolate and Coffee Festival, I met a lot of people and I had a chance to taste a lot of different chocolates. But if you go to their website, they are available in the United States. What you can do is you can click on their shopping list and bunches of things. I believe that I've had things like their cardamom and orange and some of their single origins, but these things are all, the cocoa is all grown in Nicaragua. The chocolates are made in Nicaragua. All the inclusions, like the banana, cinnamon, clove, which I was a part of the chocolate and wine tasting series that I was doing, just really, really nice. The batch number 18, I can't, extremely well made, great combinations of flavors, right? And one of the things that you'll find that's sort of consistent throughout these things is, number one, there's not a whole lot of focus on high cocoa content dark chocolates, right? But there's also a focus on inclusions and interesting flavor combinations. And because these are the things that just jump out of my mind as great ones. So Argent Cove, a Nicaraguan company. The cocoa is grown in Nicaragua. The chocolates are made in Nicaragua. The inclusions are all grown in Nicaragua. And just as I say, impeccably well made. I can't say enough about them. And which goes for almost everybody on this list. These are the highlights of the year for me. And so if I say I can't say enough about them, it's going to be redundant over the course of time. Next, I want to talk about a friend of the channel, a friend of PodSafe Chocolate, friend of the Chocolate Life, Mark and Yuri Joyce, Blue Spruce Chocolates in Kittredge, Colorado. It's a bare bones website. We may be working on that. It's a bare bones website, but what I want to do is mention a couple of pieces that I've run across and I've tasted this year. So another place I realized where I had tasted a lot of chocolate this year is as a judge for the Craft Chocolate Challenge. And so there were something like 65 or 67 entries in the Craft Chocolate Challenge this year. So by the time judging was done, end of February, early March, I had already tasted a lot of different bars. Now, the white chocolate passion fruit bar was entered in this year's competition, but I also tasted over the course of the year and really like their toasted white chocolate with roasted hazelnut pieces bar. And one of the things that makes that particular bar for me really, really special is that it uses a unique Dutch sugar called bastard sugar, which contains a high proportion of invert sugar in it, which these days is added as is some caramel coloring. It comes in light, medium, dark, as brown sugar does here in the United States. But there is something about the invert sugar component which changes the texture of the chocolate. And because for me, a lot of the reasons why I prefer one particular chocolate over another chocolate is a textural aspect of it. I'm going to go to something that delivers for me just sort of this rich textural thing, whether it's a luxurious melt or there's actually a texture which is due to the inclusions or other things that are in it. It might be a rough ground sort of rustic chocolate. One of the things that this toasted white chocolate hazelnut is a great bar. And if you are interested in sort of this white chocolate with tropical fruit notes, their passion fruit bar was a winner in this year's Craft Chocolate Challenge. So again, just love their work. And if you can, I don't I don't know that there's no obvious way to purchase off the website. Um, but maybe there is. Nope. I would go and give them reach out to them by email or something like that and see if you can get hold of their chocolate. So right. That's there. And Mark and Yuri, if you're watching, go into the comments. Let me know, say hello. Or anybody who's watching today, go into the comments. Let me know where in the world you're connecting from. If there's any of the bars that I mentioned that you've tried that you like, or any of the makers that you've tried that I mentioned that you've tried or liked, or perhaps another bar from the same maker, and you have a different opinion or you have an additional opinion from anything that I'm mentioning, go put it in the comments and let me know. So, and I did order them alphabetically. I thought about how to order them and I said, hey, it's not like this is my favorite and this is my most favorite of my favorites and this is my least favorite of my favorites. I could have done it sort of chronologically. Here's the order over the course of the year in which I tried them. Turned out that was a little harder in my thinking than I thought it was going to be. So I just decided to do them straight up alphabetically. So the next one, moving through, is to Cacaitos. Um, Cacaitos so Cesar Aguiar was an exhibitor at the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival, and I had known Cesar for quite a while. I worked with him a couple of years ago during lockdowns, and he is from Colombia. All of his beans come from Colombia. He is currently living in Canada, and he transforms his own beans into chocolate in Canada and ships them. So he has a line of bars which are called 2i bars. So I'm going to go these 2i chocolate bars. They're all sold out, as I believed, but I wanted to talk about this particular one because it's something that I shared recently, and that is this bar from Chicago. So it's a region in Colombia, and 2i stands for two ingredients, so it's just cocoa beans and sugar, right? But this is a rustic bar, and so the rustic texture of it comes primarily, I believe, from the sugar, although it's not overly sweet. But there is this really, really fabulous texture to it. So if you like a rustic bar, sort of like a Taza bar, for example, or something which is, very traditionally Mexican in texture, then number one is you're going to like the texture of this bar, right? Because it's got a little toothsomeness to it, which is really lovely in the way you bite through it and it feels in the mouth. And then This is, very well roasted, very, very well made. It's got a wonderful, robust chocolate flavor. And I do mention this. I did a live tasting, and I'll point to it a little later, during an episode of Pod Save Chocolate, where I do taste this live, and you'll be able to see exactly what I did. I thought about it when I tasted it during the episode. There are a bunch of different single origins within Colombia. The only one I've tried is this Chigarodo, but if all of them are as well made as the Chigarodo is, there are no bad choices here. So I can recommend them. If you're a chocolate maker and you're sort of going, oh, I kind of wonder, what does a rustic chocolate look like? Why am I always making European style, very, very smooth, which requires, a, a different kind of attention to what you're doing. So why am I always making European style? Cacao originated in the Americas. The first time we see, at least Europeans, taking cacao and having it ground into something which is drunk, and I suppose somebody actually did put it in their mouth to try it, would have been this rustic texture. And so you've got Taza, you've got the Modican style, so Antica Jocheria Boniuto, Doña Elvira, and things like that. So all of these sort of fit this category. And if you're a chocolate maker, you might go, maybe rustic chocolate is something I should consider. It would require significantly less processing time in my melanger. Why not go about doing that? There are other ways to go about doing it, so why not consider it? And so take a look at these 2 ingredient bars. Number one, just because you might love it, and let me know. Go into the comments. I mean, you can go into, if you've tasted it, you've got the live comments, but for every single post on the Chocolate Life, if you are a member, one reason to join is that there is a member discussion, right? And so you can add your thoughts about any one of these chocolates into the discussion afterwards. So cacaitos, right? Really, really quite lovely to do this. Before we get that, so I want to do a quick shout out to Tom Forbes. Tom is going to be a guest on the Chocolate Life on January 17th. He's currently in the República Dominicana, so the Dominican Republic. He's been traveling there. He's been working, talking to people in cocoa and chocolate. He's currently in Los Naranjos de Castillo, visiting the campo, where the Peace Corps first sent me. Hey, Thomas, good to see you. You've also got to say adios, me voy ahora. So goodbye for now, everyone. So he had to jump out, but Thomas, thanks for joining us. Quick shout out to Clement Orlando Bob from Tobago, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Season's greeting to all, and all the best for the New Year's. Clement, absolutely. Thank you very, very much for joining us today. And Mike King from Encore Coffee and Chocolate in Kansas City, Missouri, who has joined us today. Hey, Mike, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for giving us a shout out and letting me know if there's, you get a mention here too, Mike. I just wanted to let you know. But one of the most unusual chocolates that I tasted this year, I've got the box here, right? And I did do a tasting of this because Chalks and Boxes was at the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival, was their ube bar. And so let me get this out of the way. Ube is it's a purple yam. And it's not necessarily something that a lot of Americans run into anyway, if they've never been to the Philippines. But the people who founded this business are from the Philippines. They have a farm in the Philippines. They're doing manufacturing in Chicago. And this ube bar it's this white chocolate bar. White chocolate. No, there's no milk. There's no liquor in it, so it's not a milk chocolate bar. It's a white chocolate bar. It is an amazingly purple color, and I hold it up in another episode. It was gone. I was like, it was just like so good. And the aroma on this. I mean, many people think about white chocolate and they go, God, it's boring, or gosh, it's boring. There's not much aroma associated with white chocolate, which is not necessarily true if you're using a good undeodorized cocoa butter. It will be quite aromatic. But this ube, is insanely aromatic. So in addition to the color, it's got this great aroma and has this very, very interesting texture from the ube that's in it, right? And so, oh my gosh, I mean, if you're interested in, I mean, forget Ruby. I mean, forget Ruby. Ruby is boring, right? Completely boring when it comes to this. If you want to think about what a naturally flavored white chocolate, I mean, Ruby, of course, that color comes from the beans. The flavor comes from the beans. It's not added coloring. It's not added flavoring. But if you want to think about how to do a flavored white chocolate, the ube is amazing, and it's a fairly trendy flavor. It's a fairly trendy flavor. Maybe not as trendy as it was 2 years ago. But if you're looking for something, man, I mean, you can give this to someone who says they don't like white chocolate, and I think that they would be really, really pleasantly surprised with this ube bar. So I put the link to the website on here. You can go over and navigate to the shop page, and they do a lot of other stuff. I mean, again, you know, can't say anything bad about how well made any of these things is. I mean, I don't know that there's a bad selection among anything. It's just this is the one, when I had an opportunity to taste things at the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival, that immediately jumped out to me as being unusual and unusually good. I mean, it's like, whoa. I mean, yeah, I mean, I would have trouble not eating the entire bar in one sitting if I opened up a brand new bar right now. I mean, if I opened up a brand new bar right now, I could confidently predict that it would probably be done by the end of the episode. So, um, I, you know, I was the head judge at last year's, the 2024 season 3 of the Craft Chocolate Challenge. I've linked to the winners page of the 2024 Craft Chocolate Challenge. If you don't know anything about the Craft Chocolate Challenge, they're accepting episodes for the 2025 season 4 right now. So you can click onto the season 4 link here, and you can see who's going. You can find the entry and other kinds of conditions for getting done for entering the competition. So go there if, in fact, you want to go and enter the competition. This is really for companies that don't have a lot of experience entering international competitions, but are looking to get into a competition where there's a lot of feedback, right? And so there's a list of winners in only 4 categories. Right? So there's a dark chocolate, a milk chocolate, a white chocolate, and an inclusion categories. We added a 5th category last year, which is innovation. And so the 2024 winners are here. There's not a bad chocolate among them. I mean, you could go to any one of these and buy any one of these, and you'll go, oh my gosh, this is a great chocolate for very different reasons. So so I just want to say hello to Mark and Yuri. All right. Thanks for the mention. Tickled that you like our bar. And what I will say is that, I have to say, Mark, that my first choice in this category was not necessarily the not quite white with passion fruit, because I'm just so tickled with the previous year's winner, which was the toasted caramel with or white chocolate, toasted white chocolate with hazelnuts. But there's not a bad bar among them here. Any one of these things you'll get. It's amazing, just absolutely. And so, we have the winners for season 2. So, here are some great picks. I was a judge for season 2. I hope to be a judge for season 4. Which is going to be coming up very soon. Among all of these things, I think my individual favorite is going to be one we're going to have trouble finding. It's a company called Mellow Chocolate, which is from Scandinavia. I think they're from Norway. Their double oat, which is a black oat, which is a cookie, which is sort of Lou biscuit style, that's got chocolate on it, which is so it's a chocolate bar, and they're putting the oat cookies in the back of the chocolate bar. Just from a texture and flavor component, absolutely wonderful. Again, sorry, not all of these bars are available in the United States that I'm aware of, but if you can find any of them here in the United States, none of them is a bad option. And one of the things I like about the way the Craft Chocolate Challenge is arranged is that we're not just all of the judges aren't IICCT or otherwise certified, quote unquote, chocolate judges. So you've got people who are chefs, people who, like me, who are chocolate critics. You've got people from just members of the public. You've got a wide range of opinions, and the goal is not to put together, give hundreds and hundreds of winners, but to provide feedback, right? That the entrants can use to improve their packaging, improve their chocolate, and things like that. But reach out to any of them, and you will be really, really happy. Now, some of these chocolates are in fact available at the Chocolat Cafe in Rushville, Indiana. And so what I'm going to do is after the fact, I'm going to put a link to the cafe, so that what you can do is you can contact Dustin Cornett, who's the organizer of the Craft Chocolate Challenge. He's the organizer of the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival. And you can say, hey, Dustin, do you have any of these bars in your shop? Because I know he carries at least the winners in for dark milk and white, and I think inclusions. He just carries them in the stores. And so you can order them from him. It's a great project to support. And so I would recommend supporting the winners in this challenge. So going to E, so Embers Chocolate. So this is Tandy Peterson. She was also at the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival. I'm in Prescott, Arizona. She's down in the Phoenix area. Tandy comes from a culinary background, and she brings that culinary background to her products. And it's not obvious. So what I'm going to do is, if you go and you look, you'll see she has an elote bar, a bar called Dreaming of Thailand, and a spiced cherry cheesecake bar. So here are 3 bars from Embers that I would recommend if you don't know anything about any of them, but you can go to the shop page, and you can go and take a look at what it is that she's offering. So this elote white chocolate bar, she completely sold out at the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival, and you can see very, very closely that it won a gold in the 2024 World Round of the International Chocolate Awards. Whatever you think about the International Chocolate Awards, this is just a substantial bar. And if you go take a look at what the ingredients are, so she's got a caramelized milk and sour cream powder, so evoking sort of the roasted Mexican corn on a stick you'd find at a street vendor, which might have mayonnaise or sour cream or Guatemalan sour cream on it, right? But so freeze-dried corn is ground into the cocoa butter, and then with crunchy corn, tahine, which is a spice mixture, chili powder, cilantro, and sea salt. Oh my gosh. I mean, again, another bar that if you put it in front of me, I cannot control myself. I'm going to eat the entire thing in one sitting. So Embers, any of the flavor combinations which attract you, if you go look at the ingredients and the mix of spices, just absolutely amazing. Another exhibitor at the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival is Fjorden Chocolat. So Chell, pronounce it properly, Chell. And this is from his British Heritage Collection. It's out of focus. Here we go, British Heritage Collection. And this is a rum and raisin bar. And so it is raisins which are infused with rum. I don't know that there's rum in the chocolate itself. But one of the reasons why I love this bar, number one, is because I'm a huge fan of rum raisin ice cream. And if you're a fan of rum raisin ice cream, you are going to like this bar, right? And so there's nothing wrong with connecting to other things that we love and going, oh, this reminds me of other things. I'm a huge fan of good rum, right? Nice, plump, juicy raisins, right? So they don't freeze in the ice cream. Yum. But I also had an opportunity to take a class many, many years ago from the founder of La Maison du Chocolat, who's Robert Lanx. And at that time, in the class. This was on the when there was just the one location on the Upper East Side, Madison Avenue in the 70s, I want to say. It's been a long time. He came to New York. He didn't do that very often, but he gave not just a tasting class, but also demonstration of technique. And I had an opportunity to sit in on that class when he was there. Just, I have lived a charmed chocolate life, I can tell you. And he said that his single favorite bonbon that La Maison du Chocolat made was one called the Bacchus, 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 which was a rum and raisin ganache, and which I love the combination from the ice cream. If you ever get a chance to go to a La Maison du Chocolat in Paris, I think the chocolates are better in Paris than they are in the United States. I don't think they travel extremely well. But if you get an opportunity, and then of course you're in Paris. I mean, almost any chocolate you're going to eat that's made in France that you buy in Paris is going to taste better just because the fact that you're in Paris, right? So go and do that. It's absolutely amazing. I would recommend doing that. And so, you know what? I got a little noise in my ear that said something's going on. Okay, just wanted to make sure that you've got the microphone, which is on my little wireless microphone, which I'm wearing as opposed to the microphone for my earphones. I just want to make sure it doesn't disappear. But all right, Chell has been award winner at the Craft Chocolate Challenge in the past. Again, just really, really nice work. I don't know how much of it is available in the United States, but if you're ever traveling in Norway, go to Stavanger, go see him, or you're traveling, anywhere in Scandinavia, reach out. He does really, really good work. And he's a really, really nice guy. I met him at the airport in Chicago. We drove down to Rushville, spent part of a day going down to Cincinnati and then driving back to Chicago. Just enjoyed all the time I had meeting with him. And that's, one of the things that I really love about chocolate. I mean, you need to be a real miserable person to be miserable in chocolate, and chocolate just attracts, for the most part, really, really nice people, really, really good people who want to do good work in at many, many levels. And it was fun for me in the traveling that I did do to go and meet with people again. I made a trip to Brussels in October, and while I was there, I made a day trip up to Rotterdam to go see Jan Willem and Ebold at Hind and Vera. And anybody who knows me knows that I am a huge fan of these guys for a bunch of different reasons. The product has been available in the United States. I don't think it's available now. You need to order it directly from them. I know, Mark at Blue Spruce, you said you ordered the entire selection of 16 bars. I came back from my trip with all 16 bars that they make. Here are some of the leftover packages. I don't normally keep the packages. I mean, if I did, I would have to have a storage unit of just nothing for packaging from the last 40 years. But I can't say enough about these guys. Yes, they are award winners, and you can see, how many of their bars have got awards on them. But the Dutch Original series, a new one they make which is a Speculaas, as opposed to Speculoos, absolutely amazing. Their Pearl of Ecuador series, they make 100%, which is just absolutely delightful and is on my list. But the Dutch Original Vanilla, Dutch Fudge, I mean, there's just a lot of experimentation and a kind of purity. So Hind and Vera means near and far. And so far means where the cocoa beans come from, and near means the Netherlands. So the sugar, it's beet sugar, which is from the Netherlands. They do use this pasteurized in some of their products, but if they're using hazelnuts, they're using hazelnuts from the Netherlands. This is Dutch vanilla bar. It is vanilla which is grown in the Netherlands, which in a greenhouse. And so there's a very, very small amount because there's not a lot of vanilla which is being grown there. Just absolutely amazing. If you get an opportunity, if you go to Chocoa in February, if they're there, I don't know if they're going to be exhibiting either during the professional component or during the Chocolata Festival. But if you can arrange to take the train, it's a little over an hour, I think, from Amsterdam Central to Rotterdam Central. And if you get an opportunity to go and meet with them, absolutely go and meet with them. because they have a lot to teach. And you'll love, love, love their chocolate. I don't know where it's available. I'm sure it's available, excuse me, at retail. Oh, no, here's a click. Click on shops, and you can find out where it's available um, throughout, lots of places in Amsterdam now. So, again, great guys. Quick shout out to Julie McLean. Julie, Merry Happy New Year. Wonderful pod, very enlightening. Thank you very much. Julie, I mean, would be interested in knowing how many of these you've tasted so far, and if you're inspired to go and have many, many more. And anybody, I mean, anybody who's watching, go into the comments, let me know, hey, you've tried some of these, you like them, you like the makers, and you think there are other bars that they're doing that you like a whole lot more. Let me know in the comments. So I did have an opportunity early in the year to have an interview and tasting with Natalie Nichols of Magno Chocolate. It turns out that I'd known Natalie's husband for quite some time. And so they shipped me some product from Colombia. And one of the things that I would recommend if you like coffee and chocolate for yourself or want to do an unusual gift is they do an origin coffee and chocolate tasting kit. So it's 3 different pouches of single serve pour over sachets, and then there are 3 bonbons. So 1 bonbon for each of the 3 different chocolates. Although if you go and you taste one of each bonbons with each coffee, you get a very, very interesting set of experiences. So it's Colombian grown coffee. I believe the sugar is grown in Colombia, but all of the inclusions are also grown and sourced in Colombia. So really, 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 really good. It's sold out, I believe, so you can't buy it right now. And then they have these bars. Let me see if the link still works. It does. So they have these 3 different bars: a golden berry bar, a cookie chunk bar, and a salted caramel bar. And let's see if we can go take. Yeah, they don't have not a great look at the back of them, but I mean, it does come as a kit. It's great for gifting. The texture of this is wonderful. The way the flavors go on with each other. And if you want, I mean, there's an entire episode of Pod Save Chocolate, right? So episode 46, which is in fact dedicated to this. So you can learn a lot more about the company by going and listening to this episode. And they do have a US website, and you can order. Everything is sourced fresh or shipped fresh from Colombia. And here's a map of where they source many of their ingredients. So I worked with Natalie. She gave me the locations, put them on a map, and embedded the map for you to see. So I really, really, I mean, again, from a gifting perspective, for somebody, again, who's a real coffee and chocolate fan, this is one of the few tasting kits that I did put, that I had a chance to taste this year. Julie, you were inspired. Yes, I've not tried any of them as yet, unfortunately. You know, it's one of the great things about chocolate. I've been doing this now professionally since 2001. So almost 24 years. It'll be 24 years in May that I've been doing this. And there's always new chocolate. There's always something new. I'm always inspired by the people who, just do the work that they do. And it's not boring. What's boring for me, I mean, what is boring for me is when I'm a judge, is I'm sitting down and I've got a table. And what I've got is a flight of 9 different chocolates that all 70% 2 ingredient from the same origin. That's boring. And that's really, really hard to do. Right. But when I look at the kinds of, creative flavor combinations that I'm talking about the ube bar, or I'm talking about the combination of coffee and chocolate, or these things that are being done as inclusions and things like that. I'm going, oh my gosh, we haven't even begun to scratch the surface in some respects about, what chocolate can be. And what it can include. So, I am inspired. Every time I have something new, I'm inspired to try something new. I know that there's something out there that I'm going to put in my mouth and I'm going to go, oh my gosh, this is an experience I've never had before. I mean, this is amazing. It's wonderful. I love it. I want to do it. It's I am charmed. in many, many respects in terms of what's going on. Hey, out to Chef Jeffrey Gardner out in Torrance, California at Marsata Chocolates, if I remember correctly. It's Torrance. I did have a chance to meet Jeffrey in Los Angeles the last time I was there. I'm trying to think, man, was it 2022 or was it 2023? I'm not even sure anymore. Happy New Year. Thanks for the shout out. And all the best to you in 2025. I may be making it back to LA pretty soon. And if I do, I will definitely give you a shout out. Perhaps I can come and have enough time in my schedule to come and actually meet you in your shop in Torrance next year. I mentioned that I'm running through this because I realize I got a lot of stuff to do and I'm nowhere near done. I mentioned that I had an opportunity to spend time with Kjell from Fjorden when he was in, oh my gosh, I got all these things. When he came from Norway to Rushville, Indiana for the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival. And one of the things that another exhibitor at the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival was Paul Picton of Maverick Chocolate. And while he was there, I arranged for Kjell and I to go take a visit to, so we drove down to Cincinnati and spent a couple of hours with Paul in his factory. So really, really cool. So I had been there before on my cross-country craft chocolate odyssey in 2023 when I moved from the East Coast to where I am now in Arizona. But Kjell's first visit, and we also went to Grater's and had ice cream, which was also a lot of fun. The black raspberry chocolate chip. If you've never had Grater's black raspberry chocolate chip ice cream, Skyline Chili, maybe not so much. But if you're going to go to Cincinnati, Skyline Chili, Grater's black raspberry chocolate chip ice cream, and Maverick Chocolate need to be on your list of things to do, along with the Cincinnati Reds game, maybe to go there. But I mean, Paul is an engineer. He brings that engineer perspective to everything he's doing in terms of precision. And does a great job, has a great flavor sensibility. I picked 3 bars, I think, from the list of what he's doing. So his Prohibition Milk, his Ruya Turkish coffee, which I haven't finished yet. Man, if you love coffee in chocolate, dark as hell, strong as death, sweet as love. It's a great description of the flavor profile for that. And their Fahrenheit 513, which is also a milk chocolate. So again, I can't say anything bad about anything that he makes. It's all very, very well made. And flavor profiles are, I think, true to the origin of the beans that he's working with. And just technically, they're very, very well made. And he's a great guy. It's a great family. And I can't say, again, I'm going to say it, I can't say anything bad. It's just like, there's a lot to said. I just love, I love what he's doing, and those 3 bars in particular stand out to me. I did have an opportunity to go to Cincinnati this year, and even though Caputo's in Utah and Mirzam Chocolate is in Dubai, there is one of the better craft chocolate bar stores in the country is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is where my daughter lives. And so when I had a chance to visit my daughter, I was in Pittsburgh maybe twice this year, at least once. It's a little hazy right now. I learned about this bar when I was at Chocoa. I want to say 2017, maybe it was 2018, I don't know. But it is a dark chocolate with date paste and fennel. So it's a very, very thin chocolate bar, and there's a very, very thin center of this date paste and fennel. And oh my gosh. I mean, I love dates. I love fennel. I love charred fennel. That flavor. Not necessarily a fan of salted licorice, which is in the same flavor category. But this is just an amazing bar. If you get an opportunity, it's available mail order from Caputo's. If you are in Pittsburgh, you need to go to Mon Ami, and I will put the link to that. And so I'm going to put a link to Dustin, and I'm going to put a link to Mon Ami, which is where you can get many bars. If you're ever in Pittsburgh, it's a lovely place. Great coffee culture in Pittsburgh as well. I do talk about that on a trip. So, hey, gotta go. So we got a bunch of things going on Julie says, Skyline Chili, Maverick, and Graders. I have had all of those. Does that count? Absolutely. Graders, yeah, you do spell it Grae, Graders. Anise is in the same family. They're related sort of flavors as would be in fennel. And so you can get fennel seed. It's just there is a particular chemical component, maybe called anisole, which is central to there. I'm not entirely sure, but again, I love that entire. I mean, I'll take Australian black licorice. You know, I will. I don't need a whole lot of it, but I'm not a fan of overly salted licorice. Yeah, and if you don't like fennel and if you don't like licorice, you don't like anise, you probably won't like the date paste and fennel bar. But if you really like it, it's a bar. The texture, it's just the way it breaks, and it's got like a cheese pull, but it's got a caramel pull from the date paste. It just like goes like that. And it's just so thin, and it cracks when you bite it. Again, this textural thing is something that I talk about. You know, I like chocolate bars have, you know, something other than a straight bite you melt of a plain European style chocolate, and that's where I'm going here. I'm coming back to Arizona at Monsoon Chocolate. I met them at the Southwest Chocolate and Coffee Festival. It turns out that I've known one of the founders of the company, Adam Scott Krantz, a decade at least, from Portland, Oregon. I forget what the connection is in the life. And while they do a lot of different things, what I like, right, is when they're looking at Southwest inspired flavors, right? So again, they have a blue corn atole white chocolate, a mesquite white chocolate. Those are two. I mean, I just really do love those things. So again, my ears are making noise. I want to make sure that I'm still on the microphone, even though my headphones may be running out of juice. Really, and I think I selected a third bar from Monsoon, Sonoran Sea Salt Dark, the Blue Corn Atole, and then the Mesquite White. I mean, just again, there's some texture there, it's flavor there. I am in the Southwest, in Arizona. I grew up in Southern California. I love these flavors. That's one of the reasons why I like the elote that Embers puts together. I spent a lot of time in Mexico, in the state of Tabasco, in Mexico City, you know, having Mexican street corn, and just really love it. Although they do a Mexican street corn nuts, which are underwhelming. I can't, even though it's a limited edition, and if you like corn nuts, you might want to try them. Yeah, the Mexican street corn nuts are not all that good. I have to thank my daughter for mentioning those to me. Omnom in Iceland. So I ran across them when I was in Brussels for the seminar of the British Society of Flavorists. The particular bar that I was given was a white chocolate with caramel, and I got to say I was a little underwhelmed with the spiced white caramel. It could have been that it was the best by date is November of 2024, and we were at the end of October 2024 when we tasted these things, and so the caramel, which might have been originally crunchy crispy when it was put on the back of the bar, had absorbed a lot of water. It was hygroscopic. And so the flavor and the texture combination didn't work for that reason. But try their black burnt barley. I mean, they do some really amazing work. If you're ever in Reykjavik, stay away from the fermented shark. Can't recommend this fermented shark. They do a great tour of the Omnon factory. They're making ice cream in Iceland. Of course, why not? There's a great coffee culture there. There's some great restaurants. Rye breadcrumb ice cream at Cafe Loki is something to, if you love that combination or skeptical of it and you want to try it, go and try it. It's really quite lovely. Again, good people, they do good work. There's not a bad bar among them, but I would be careful at looking at the best by dates for anything which has got a caramel inclusion exposed on the back of the bar. That would be the only thing I would say about it. Again, here in Arizona, again, and this is where I live. This is in Prescott, Arizona, Orinoco Chocolate Company. They're friends of mine. I've seen the factory and all the work that they've done. Of theirs, and you can order them online, the Patanemo Venezuela bar is my particular favorite of what it is they're doing. But they're doing vegan, gluten-free, and they don't use refined sugar. This is late harvest maple sugar. Now, you may not like the flavor of late harvest maple sugar, but I think there are examples where people are using alternative sweeteners where the sweetener gets too much in the way of what the cocoa beans do. And one of the things I will say about Orinoco is they do a good job of balancing those flavors. This is very well made. It's an unusual bar mold. This is the bar mold, this cacao. It's a cacao pod with a name in it. They do good work. And yeah, again, there's nothing bad here. Everything is well made. There's nothing bad. They do a good job of roasting. They now have a number 5 blend, I think, the Orinoco number 5 bar, which is a blend, bunch of award-winning bars that they put together. The Mere de Criollo, the Pieroa, all of these things. I mean, all of them are Venezuelan with the exception of Coco Camille, which is different from the way other people treat Coco Camille. So I can recommend, if you're interested in 3 different Venezuelans, then getting the Patanemo, the Merida, and the Pierrot bar is an unusual set. It's not Chuao, it's not Puerto Cabello, it's not Ocumare. These are different Venezuelan beans, and so you can expand your horizon of what Venezuela is. Hump Street. Again, this was a bar that was given to me when I was in Brussels for the British Society of Flavorists. I mean, I'm a huge fan. I've been a huge fan of Chris Brennan from the first time I tasted his chocolate when I was in London, meeting him in New York City at the Fancy Food Show. But before there was a Pump Street Chocolate, there was a Pump Street Bakery. And one of the things that I love is their bars that use either sourdough or rye breadcrumbs in the bars. Again, it's a textural thing, particularly the rye bread. If you're looking for a chocolate bar that's going to pair with an IPA, the resiny quality of the rye seeds, of the rye bread, is going to do a good job of pairing with many of the hops that are in very high IBU, International Bitterness Unit IPAs. And again, it's just textural. It's just, for me, I just love the texture. So I can't recommend it more highly. Again, I'm sorry, I'm getting stuff in my ear, and I just want to make sure that I don't lose the microphone if I lose my earpieces at my end. So can't say about it. Available in the United States. I'm not sure if it's Bar and Coco or Caputo's or someplace else, maybe the Meadow. All these places are a great place to go and take a look at things. So Sweets Escalier is a brand that I first was introduced to through the Craft Chocolate Challenge. They've been a multiple award winner. This is one of their entries, I believe, in the 2024 Craft Chocolate Challenge. It was a Chuao, 60% milk. Yum. There were like 15 bars that were sent to Dustin for sale during the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival. He may or may not have any more. So yeah, go take a look if he does. And but they have entered bars in every in the 2 editions of the Craft Chocolate Challenge, which I have been a judge at. Just impeccably made, just really wonderful. If you get an opportunity and you're in Japan, go and visit them, along with a bunch of other places you might want to go and visit Japan. Maybe somebody would like to talk about chocolate bars or chocolate brands were in Japan, and so I can do that. Finally, for the last one, and this may seem a little strange to people, I'm a huge fan and always have been a huge fan of Zotter since the first time I ran across them at Fog City News in San Francisco. So Adam Smith founded it. It was a news, magazines, and chocolate shop. interesting combination. And he was the first place that I ran across the Zotter's hand scooped line. And while I know Joseph and Julia, I have met them both on multiple occasions in Europe and in the United States, and I'm a huge fan of their work. The things that I love most about what they do is what they call their hand scooped line. The hand scooped line. There are some examples that are here. So it's basically a slabbed ganache, which is cut, and then it is fully enrobed, the best way to describe it. But what they do is um, it's no longer hand scooped. It's produced in ganache frames, which are very, very long. So they fill a layer, and many of these things are multi-layer bars, right? So it's like a slabbed ganache bonbon, but it's the size of a chocolate bar. Tends to be a little bit thinner. Um, but it is the flavor combinations that they put together here. Um, just from a textural perspective and a flavor perspective, you may like their Labucos. They do a 70% dark milk, which is just cacao and milk, and 80% as well. So if you like those sorts of things, I can't recommend them. They're just really, really good examples, very well made, and they're really good people. And if you ever get a chance to go to Austria and visit the factory, it's one of the great chocolate tourist experiences in Europe. Go there. I love them. This is the link to the USA chocolate, the USA shop. It looks like the Austria website might be closed for the holidays. It's just this picture, and there are no apparent active links anywhere. Maybe it'll come back. But this is to the Zotter USA website. Really love their work. And my folks, again, I'm huge into texture. I'm huge into flavor combinations and inclusions, which is one of the reasons why I recommend them. Okay, so that was 18 different makers, right? And way more than 18 different bars, probably more than 30 bars. So if you're interested in following more about my adventures and recommendations of individual chocolates and tastings and where I've been, here are episodes which are about tastings and travelogues. So this is a tasting and gifting guide, which actually goes below this line here because it's more a review. But I did an after travel report on my visit to the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival, my visit to Brussels this year in October, and also a follow-up trip report on my visit to the Southwest Chocolate and Coffee Fest. So if you're at all in the western part of the United States looking for something to do, first week in April 5th and 6th, I believe that weekend, is the next Southwest Chocolate and Coffee Fest. I can recommend it as a place to go. There'll be a lot of interesting chocolate makers, a lot of coffee, lots of other kinds of stuff. And it's the first week of April, which is a different time of year. So here are places that I visited this year. Not all that many, but here's where I visited this year. And then there's a bunch of reviews, not in alphabetical order, but when we start getting to the episodes of Pod Safe Chocolate, they are in chronological order, with the oldest one at the bottom and more recent ones at the top. So even though I didn't travel to a lot of places, I did have a chance to eat a huge variety of chocolates this year, right? And so here's where I discuss them. And so, almost 10% of the episodes on the Pod Safe Chocolate this year were either related to my travels and talking about chocolate, or were reviews of and interviews with chocolate makers, which I think is a pretty good ratio. Of course, there's a lot more about taste and pairing and things like that, but these are the ones which directly are associated with particular chocolates this year. And with that, we are at the end of this episode. We are out at 59 minutes, and for everybody who's been here, who's left a comment, thank you very, very much. I appreciate hearing from you today. And be on the way out, this episode of chocolate, this episode of Pod Save Chocolate, like every episode of Pod Safe Chocolate is supported by members of the Chocolate Life. If you're not a member of the Chocolate Life, go over there, click on the join button, right? And among other things, let's go back here. And among other things, when you become a member of the Chocolate Life, even just at a free member level, you'll see that there are some posts which are listed as being for members only. And so if you are a member, you can go and read the entire post. If you're not a member, there's this little break that says anything below this point is not readable by you. So go there. There's a free membership. If you are in the business of chocolate, at the higher membership levels, there is included consulting and lots of interesting, I think they're interesting, promotional opportunities. If you are interested in any of those, you can give me a quick shout out, and I will be happy to respond to all of those. So Julie, I think those are clapping hands. I don't think they're prayer hands. Are they high five? I'm not. I've never been entirely sure what that particular emoji is, but I will take the spirit of it. And a quick shout out to Ken, who's connecting from LinkedIn. Thanks very much, Ken, for joining us today. And I look forward to having you come back in return at some point in the future. And this is the last day of December, the last day of 2024, December 31st. So I want to wish everybody a merry, happy New Year, however you plan to celebrate. Please do it safely and sanely so that you can come back and join us next year and share your love for chocolate in 2025. I hope I'll be doing a little more traveling. I'll be able to meet with many of you in person in the coming year. And with that, I want to remind everybody, and hopefully you got a sense of, from my excitement and my joy today, which is if you're working with chocolate and you are not having fun, maybe you're doing it wrong. Ciao, everybody, and see you back next year.